What if one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history inspired one of the greatest novels of the 20th century? What if the dark underbelly of the jazz age, filled with scandal, excess, and moral decay, was captured not just in headlines, but in the pages of a literary masterpiece? This is the story behind Careless People, Murder, Mayhem, and the Invention of the Great Gatsby by Sarah Churchwell. But this isn't just a story about a book or a murder. It's a journey into the heart of an era that defined America, and the ways in which art and reality intertwine in ways we're only beginning to understand. What if the glittering parties, forbidden love affairs, and tragic downfalls of the Great Gatsby were not just figments of Fitzgerald's imagination, but reflections of a world teetering on the edge of chaos? Let's dive in. Introduction. Careless People is a gripping blend of true crime, literary analysis, and cultural history. Written by Sarah Churchwell, a renowned scholar of American literature, this book delves into the real-life events that may have influenced Scott Fitzgerald as he penned The Great Gatsby. Churchwell takes us back to the autumn of 1922, a time of glamour and corruption, to explore the shocking murder of Edward Hall and Eleanor Mills, a crime that captivated the nation and may have left its mark on Fitzgerald's iconic novel. But this book is so much more than a literary detective story. It's a deep dive into the cultural, social, and historical forces that shaped one of the most celebrated works of American literature. If you've ever wondered about the real-world inspirations behind The Great Gatsby or the darker side of the Roaring Twenties, this book is a must-read. And even if you're not a literature buff, the story of the Hall Mills murder alone is enough to keep you hooked. 1. The Jazz Age, a time of excess and decay. Churchwell paints a vivid picture of the 1920s, a decade defined by its contradictions. On the surface, it was an era of prosperity, flappers, and jazz. But beneath the glittering facade lay a world of moral decay, corruption, and inequality. This duality is central to The Great Gatsby, and Churchwell argues that Fitzgerald was deeply influenced by the era's excesses and its darker undercurrents. The 1920s were a time when the American dream seemed within reach for many, but for others, it was a cruel illusion. Churchwell explores how Fitzgerald captured this tension in his portrayal of J. Gatsby's rise and fall, showing how the pursuit of wealth and status often leads to emptiness and despair. The parties, the bootlegging, the obsession with appearances, all of it was part of a larger cultural moment that Fitzgerald both celebrated and critiqued. 2. The Hall Mills murder, a scandal that shocked the nation. In September 1922, the bodies of Edward Hall, a prominent minister, and Eleanor Mills, a choir singer, were found in a New Jersey field. The murder was sensational, involving adultery, betrayal, and a botched investigation. Churchwell draws parallels between this real-life scandal and the themes of infidelity, betrayal, and violence in The Great Gatsby. She suggests that Fitzgerald, who was living in New York at the time, was likely captivated by the case. The murder trial was a media circus, with newspapers sensationalizing every detail, and Churchwell argues that this public obsession with scandal and spectacle influenced Fitzgerald's depiction of the moral decay of the jazz age. The Hall Mills case wasn't just a crime. It was a cultural phenomenon that exposed the hypocrisy and moral bankruptcy of the era. 3. Fitzgerald's life, a mirror of his fiction. Fitzgerald's own life was as tumultuous as the characters he created. Churchwell explores how his struggles with alcoholism, his tumultuous marriage to Zelda, and his obsession with wealth and status influenced his writing. The author's personal experiences with love, loss, and ambition are reflected in the tragic story of J. Gatsby and Daisy Buchanan. Fitzgerald's relationship with Zelda, in particular, was marked by passion, jealousy, and instability, much like Gatsby's obsession with Daisy. Churchwell also delves into Fitzgerald's financial struggles and his desire to achieve the kind of success and recognition that Gatsby pursues, showing how the author's life and work were deeply intertwined. Fitzgerald wasn't just writing about the American dream. He was living it and failing at it in real time. 4. The American Dream: Illusion versus Reality. One of the central themes of The Great Gatsby is the corruption of the American dream. Churchwell examines how the novel critiques the idea that anyone can achieve success through hard work. Instead, Fitzgerald portrays a world where wealth and status are often built on lies, crime, and exploitation. This theme, Churchwell argues, was shaped by the rampant materialism and social inequality of the 1920s. Gatsby's rise from humble beginnings to wealth and prominence is ultimately revealed to be built on illegal activities and a web of deceit. Churchwell explores how Fitzgerald's portrayal of the American dream as a hollow promise reflects the disillusionment of an era that had seen the devastation of World War I and the excesses of the post-war boom. The dream, as Fitzgerald shows us, is often just that, a dream, and one that can turn into a nightmare. 5. The role of the media: sensationalism and public opinion. The Hall Mills murder was one of the first crimes to receive widespread media coverage, with newspapers sensationalizing every detail. Churchwell highlights how the media's obsession with the case mirrored the public's fascination with scandal and spectacle. A theme that Fitzgerald explores in The Great Gatsby through the character of Tom Buchanan and his affair with Myrtle Wilson. The media's role in shaping public opinion and perpetuating myths about wealth, status, and morality is a recurring theme in both the novel and the real-life events of the 1920s. Churchwell argues that Fitzgerald was acutely aware of the power of the media to create and destroy reputations, and this awareness is reflected in his portrayal of Gatsby's rise and fall. The media, in many ways, becomes a character in its own right, shaping the narrative of both the Hall Mills case and Gatsby's tragic story. 6. The invention of J. Gatsby. Churchwell delves into the possible inspirations for J. Gatsby, from real-life figures like bootlegger Max Gerlach to Fitzgerald's own aspirations and failures. She argues that Gatsby is both a product of his time and a timeless symbol of ambition and disillusionment. Gatsby's mysterious background, his extravagant parties, and his obsessive love for Daisy are all elements that Churchwell traces back to real-life influences and Fitzgerald's own experiences. She also explores how Gatsby's character embodies the contradictions of the American dream. His wealth and success are ultimately revealed to be hollow, and his dream of winning Daisy's love is doomed from the start. Gatsby isn't just a character. He's a mirror held up to the aspirations and failures of an entire generation. 7. The women of The Great Gatsby. The female characters in The Great Gatsby, Daisy, Myrtle, and Jordan, are often seen as symbols rather than fully realized individuals. Churchwell challenges this view, exploring how these characters reflect the limited roles available to women in the 1920s and Fitzgerald's own complex relationships with women. Daisy, for example, is often dismissed as shallow and selfish, but Churchwell argues that she is also a victim of the patriarchal society in which she lives. Myrtle, on the other hand, is portrayed as a tragic figure, trapped in a loveless marriage and desperate for a better life. Jordan, with her independence and cynicism, represents a new kind of woman emerging in the 1920s, but even she is constrained by the expectations of her class and gender. Churchwell's analysis of these characters adds depth and nuance to our understanding of the novel and the era it depicts. 8. The legacy of The Great Gatsby. Churchwell reflects on why The Great Gatsby continues to resonate with readers nearly a century after its publication. She argues that the novel's exploration of themes like love, ambition, and the American dream are timeless, making it as relevant today as it was in the 1920s. The novel's critique of materialism and social inequality, its portrayal of the emptiness of wealth and status, and its exploration of the human desire for connection and meaning are all themes that continue to resonate in our own time. Churchwell also explores how The Great Gatsby has been interpreted and reinterpreted over the years, from its initial lukewarm reception to its current status as a literary classic. It's a book that speaks to every generation, offering new insights and revelations with each reading. 9. The intersection of fact and fiction. Throughout the book, Churchwell blurs the lines between fact and fiction, showing how real-life events and people may have influenced Fitzgerald's work. This approach not only sheds new light on The Great Gatsby, but also highlights the ways in which literature can capture the spirit of an era. Churchwell's meticulous research and engaging storytelling make Careless People a fascinating read for anyone interested in the connections between history and literature. She shows how Fitzgerald's novel is not just a work of fiction, but a reflection of the world in which he lived, a world of glamour and corruption, hope and despair, dreams and disillusionment. 10. The enduring mystery of the Hall Mills case. Churchwell concludes by revisiting the Hall Mills murder, which remains unsolved to this day. She suggests that the mystery surrounding the case mirrors the ambiguity and unresolved questions in The Great Gatsby, leaving readers to ponder the true nature of the characters and their motivations. Just as the truth about Gatsby's past and his relationship with Daisy is never fully revealed, the truth about the Hall Mills murder remains elusive. Churchwell's exploration of the case adds an extra layer of intrigue to her analysis of the novel, showing how the themes of mystery and ambiguity are central to both the real-life events and the fictional story. Conclusion. Careless People is more than just a book about a murder or a novel. It's a fascinating exploration of how art imitates life and how the past continues to shape our understanding of the present. Sarah Churchwell's meticulous research and engaging storytelling make this a must-read for fans of The Great Gatsby, true crime enthusiasts, and anyone interested in the cultural history of the 1920s. But it's also a book that challenges us to think about the ways in which literature reflects and shapes our understanding of the world around us. If you enjoyed this summary, I highly recommend picking up a copy of Careless People to dive deeper into the world of Scott Fitzgerald and the Jazz Age. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth book summaries and literary insights. And let us know in the comments, do you think the Hall Mills murder influenced The Great Gatsby? What other real-life events do you see reflected in the novel? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.